a way that's helping you not only to understand, to get epiphany from the story of your past life, but also to activate your skills and skill sets, whatever that's in your DNA that you already have, to retrieve that into this life. And
People always looking for the purpose of their lives, and they're always looking for what they can do for this lifetime to achieve what. Then it leads us to get back our gift. The gift is actually what we learned during the past lifetimes. So it is not just healing, but it is to
welcome to the Heart Pod. The guest I have here today is Lili Ou. She is a Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique QHHT Level 2 practitioner, and less than 2,000 of Level 2 practitioner and above around the globe, which is really, really rare. So if you ever encounter one, you're very, very lucky. I personally have had 2 therapy sessions with her before. It was such a pleasure and wonderful, profound experience that has brought me many epiphany in my life. So let's welcome Lili. So Lili, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Fiona, for inviting me for this session.
Hi. So what is the one thing that you felt most passionate about recently?
Recently, we just met in Vancouver last month, right? And after getting back home, I'm actually get back to our traditional Chinese ritual, which is, do you know what it is?
No,
It's
what is that?
something, um, I don't know how to pronounce it or how to express it in English, but it is something like the traditional Chinese writing method, which is to make the ink here. This is making the ink.
What do you do with the ink?
I'll show making the ink, and then I'll use a Chinese traditional pen and to write something like this. Let me show you. Yeah, I wrote this.
Wow.
It's
What is that? Can you tell us more about it?
it's actually the teaching from Kuan Yin,
From
a
Kuan Yin.
Buddhist. A Buddhist goddess. I got this, right? Goddess. Yeah. And she's
Wow.
teaching is really very, very beautiful, which is to teach us how to get back.
Get back to our hearts.
Yes.
Wow, that's so synchronicity here because we're on the hot part, right? So as I know, you're the practitioner of QHHT, right? Have you been doing that, or are you just taking the rest for right now?
Yeah, I'm taking a rest because I'm preparing for another trip to Taiwan, to Singapore, and to KL for some other QHT sessions. And meanwhile, I'm taking the rest to get my energy back and by writing this. Those are actually the gifts for my
Wow, that's really
QHT.
thoughtful of you and prepare the gift for them. So may I know what's your life before you start doing these kind of special things that's always coming out of the heart? May I know what's your life before this?
Yes, when we're talking about my previous life, I'm really kind of very emotional because you and me were both working for banks previously, right? So when I was working for banks, I was really actually doing kind of very, very crazy life, busy and crazy. So yeah, it was something like that. For my life, most of the time is about work, even for weekends and even for midnight, of course, because I was working for some kind of international sectors and the business is actually around the clock. So sometimes I did the meeting at midnight. I finished my meetings at midnight and woke up at 5 a.m. for replying the emails, checking the emails, and then went to the yoga ritual every day.
Such a different life from before, right? Because we're all in the financial industry, and definitely I feel the same way. But for me, at the time, I wasn't enjoying that life. How did you feel about your previous life?
It's really a very interesting question because, I'm actually a child raised and I was born and raised in mainland of China. The educational system for us is not to teach us how to feel happy or how to find our happiness from the bottom of our heart. We were taught to follow maybe the path of others. So I didn't know what happiness means for me at that moment. I just feel that, okay, I was chosen to do something. I tried my best to do it. And then I got the happiness for being focused. So I could feel the happiness by being focused. But I don't know whether that's the life I want to live. I don't know whether it is resonated for you. I don't know whether you can feel the feelings, but it's really very difficult to answer such a question for
Oh, I
Chinese
bet a lot
kids,
of
I
people
think.
will resonate with you on that because a lot of times we were being told what to do in our path in our future. Feels like a lot of path or to-do list is they're all laid out for us already. That it's not really our question to ask.
Yeah. I think the Taiwanese culture is similar to our Chinese, mainland Chinese culture. So today, when we are getting outside of the normal life, if I can use this word, being a kind of leisure life, but maybe we will be much more busier. But everything is actually out of our heart, out of our intuition. So we can feel the fulfillment.
Wow, thank you for sharing
Right.
that. And I just wanted to ask you, at the time you wasn't questioning about your life, but at what point that you start feeling like it's maybe not the path for you? And at what point did you start having this feeling to connect with your heart? A lot of people would say that, oh, this is what they want. And they would say that, oh yeah, they know how they feel and they know what they want. But then a lot of times when we're looking back, we'll be like, wow, it's actually we were pretty disconnected with our heart. We never really allowed ourselves to feel into this idea of what do I want from this? How do I feel within my body? For me, it was that process of trying to feel myself is really hard for me, but I'm not sure whether it's that case for you or for the audience as well. But at what point did you come to realization that wow, maybe you're kind of not really feeling what your heart wants you to do?
It's really another interesting question. I can say I'm really very lucky because I met different, I could say, phenomenon people in my life, especially they were my ex-boyfriends and they taught me a lot. I still remember one of them, which is really very important for my life. It was my early 30s. He taught me a lesson about making a difference. I didn't understand that. At that time, I just wanted to make a difference on him, to be committed in the relationship. I think maybe every girl at that age, at that young age, maybe similar to me. But this kind of sentence, this kind of word actually make a lot of differences on me. And I still remember those words, almost 10 years of separation. And I just found that this kind of the life experiences pushed me into the life or the road of learning spirituality. And then when we are on the way of understanding the spirituality, I found that actually the world is really very big. A lot of things we cannot understand or we cannot imagine. For instance, when I am in the QHHT sessions, the words out of the mouth of my clients actually makes my personality, makes my mind confused because I cannot just analyzing the words to understand what they mean, but I need to feel the energy, feel the words, which makes me feel that actually it is different from our daily life. It is different from making money, making a life, making so-called every physical things in the world. So maybe this is why I turn to another kind of lifestyle out of an office lady or a so-called professional. I don't know whether it makes
It
sense to
does.
you.
Feeling the words through your QHHT session, right? Can you elaborate that even more? Because I do understand how it's sometimes not really about what you said in terms of the language or the words. A lot of time is actually the energy underneath that. What is the most impressive moment that made you think about this?
There are a lot of different moments which makes me feel impressive. But if you would love me to share just one moment, I would love to say a few months earlier. I don't remember when was it. A client said to me, I mean, under the hypnosis, he said to me, the life itself doesn't have meaning. It is human who just put the meaning on their lives. And of course, actually it is his higher self or subconsciousness. I asked, what does it mean? And he told me that the meaning is that the meaning of those words is that only experiences is meaningful for a life. The life itself is just to experience, but not to look for the meaning or to do so-called meaningful things.
100% resonate with that because I feel like a lot of time spirituality is how you can shape meaning to life, how you can shape meanings to your life too. The life itself, it does not really have a meaning unless you give them the interpretation of it, unless you use your perspective to try to make sense out of it. So yeah, at the time when you were doing the therapy session, did you understand that the phase right away, or you had to go back and try to integrate it and try to feel the energy underneath that?
For me, in the session, I usually don't use my mind. I just flow with the energy. So for me, most of the time I don't understand. Because I just feel and feel which kind of questions I can ask or how to guide or facilitate the conversation. Because at that time, when you are talking to the subconsciousness of the client, actually it is kind of wisdom sharing or a very wise conversation.
It is indeed very wide. But before we get into too much of the session, can you briefly explain or introduce of what is QHHT, what is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique?
Maybe okay. Just let me put the long stories to short. It's short for quantum healing hypnosis a technique. So it is a hypnosis technique which can make you a kind of quantum jumping. Yeah. So it's really very profound and powerful.
Wow.
And most of the time, we just take it as a kind of past life regression. And of course, it can help us to see or to reveal a lot of past life stories. But this is not the main part for the quantum healing. Of course, we prefer to know more stories, but actually, from the past life memories, it is not just to see what was happening, what the stories look like, but we would love to know what we learned in the past lives. Because the knowledge, the wisdom we collected during the past lives, memories, past lives, experiences, we can get it back to utilize it into our present life. For example, I told you that I am making the ink, right? Actually, I didn't know how to make it until I just want to make it. And then I don't need to learn again because I knew I learned it in my past lifetimes. So I just did it. And then I did it. How about the other kind of maybe our gifts, right? People always looking for the purpose of their lives and they're always looking for what they can do for this lifetime to achieve what. Then it leads us to get back our gift. The gift is actually what we learned during the past lifetimes. So it is not just healing, but it is to make some kind of comprehension of what you learned before and to utilize it to make another comprehensive maybe version of yourself, which is actually the involvement of your life. So it is to not just to heal, but to learn and to help you have a better life for the future. So for me, most of the time, I only target for one QHHT session for every client. I don't want them to repeat to get back again for another session because I want them to understand what they can do to experience in this lifetime and what they can get from this session because they have the recordings of the session and the recording has energy to help them to live their future lifetime. So the recordings carries some energy which is helpful for every present moment.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to break it down for the audience as well. That can I put it this way that quantum healing hypnosis technique is actually a way that's helping you not only to understand, to get epiphany from the story of your past life, but also to activate your skills and skill sets, whatever that's in your DNA that you already have, to retrieve that into this life. And with that, how does that link to quantum healing? Like in like quantum field, we heard a lot of like quantum leaping or quantum jumping. Is there any connection to that?
First of all, I would love to say you have a very, very good elaboration of the QHT. And for quantum leaping or quantum jumping, I think those words actually have similar effect. That's actually a kind of shift or transformation in our life. So because we did the session and we understand that we ourselves actually is really very powerful. Every one of ourselves are very powerful and we know a lot of things and we can handle all those life challenges during our lifetime. So we get back our own power. We are empowered by this session. Actually, it is not by this session, by yourself, because you are connected with your subconsciousness, and your subconsciousness tells you a lot of different things you didn't know before. That's it. That's how the quantum jumping works, because your mind is expanding. It's a kind of mind-blowing conversation, but the conversation is between you, your personalities, your mind, and your subconsciousness, your higher
So can
self.
I put it this way that it's a process of remembering what you already have, what our higher self already have, because our higher self is actually us, right? We are the fragments. We have multiple of us in different dimensions, and that quantum healing hypnosis techniques is actually a way to help us to remember ourselves, remember the whole everything, the wholeness of ourselves. What's the difference between quantum healing hypnosis technique and the other hypnosis technique?
Great question. I got these questions every time. Yes. For hypnosis itself, I'm sure that hypnosis has similar patterns or similar effects on the clients. Well, I am so confident about the QHHT and why I'm so confident that I can just meet a client for once to get all the answer for the clients is that we did a long work with the clients in just one QHHT session. We put it into two parts. The first part is a long conversation to review the client's life. That long conversation is private and it is only a conversation. So, as the facilitator, I am accompanying the client to look back his or her lifetime, this present lifetime, from childhood till now, the present moment. It is just like watching a movie, but the movie is about the client himself or herself. So it is not just reviewing the trauma to get back to the trauma. No, nothing like this, because we are observers of this life movie. So during the long conversation, we don't have any time limit for this conversation. It is safe, it is confidential, it is private. Me even don't take any notes for the conversation. So we just chat and we just get back to observe and we understand, okay, we can see a lot of patterns maybe, or we can see maybe we have some confusion of those experiences. Then we can just put it into questions and then we can go to the hypnosis part to get the answer back. So it is powerful because most of the time, the conversation takes at least 3 hours. Sometimes the longest one for me took more than 6 hours. Most of the clients told me that after the conversation, they have got the answers. And some of them even say, Lili, I don't need the hypnosis part. But I would say, no, you need it, because that hypnosis part can give you the recordings, which has the energy for the future growth for you, So, which is powerful because for the present moment, we usually get the answer for some kind of stories. We understand why the stories happen. But in the future, maybe we are experiencing another story, and then we will say, oh, that story is another thing. Actually, everything is the same. Stories that don't have any meanings. The most important part is actually back to our heart.
Wow.
So this is the differences between the traditional hypnosis and QHT, because traditional hypnosis doesn't have that long story. And not to mention, QHT is usually to connect with the source, to connect with the aliens, the consciousness from other planet. So that's the other kind of differences. But I know that for this moment, a lot of hypnosis can connect to the higher frequency consciousness and to get back to the past life memories. So maybe the differences for QHHT and traditional hypnosis is most about the long story, a long conversation.
Awesome. Can I put it this way that the traditional therapy session or hypnosis session, they usually need to take a lot of session to actually have the healing working, have individual transform. But with QHHT, you actually go into a depth during the conversation, since you spend a lot of time, around 3 hours to 8 hours or 6 hours, that you really get into the depth of knowing the clients, knowing that person and the question that they may hidden underneath their stories. Through that process, through that conscious talking process, you then take whatever you summarize and whatever epiphany that you realize that you need to access into your subconscious and to understand more about it, you take that into the hypnosis part to actually get into our subconscious, or actually our subconscious can actually connect with the divine, connect with the source or higher realm dimension. That's magically you will feel like, okay, you answered your question. It sounds like you answer your question, but it's actually because we're all fragment of other universe or other dimension. So sounds like we answer our question, but it is actually the equivalent to actually connecting to the divine, because we're all connected. Can I put it that way?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, you have a very good understanding of QHT and the collective consciousness and ourselves, our higher selves. Yes, if you don't mind, I mean, all those audiences, if you guys don't mind, I would love to say QHT is kind of Akashic healing. We get the healing out of the Akashic record, which is not just the Earth Akashic records, but also the cosmic Akashic record.
Oh, with the cosmic Akasha record. So usually, from my understanding, is that Akasha record is a library to access either like our personal or universe library, like whatever soul imprints and the stories of individual soul. But with cosmic Akasha record, you get to access to everything, right? Everything, not only to yourself. So here comes to that question about the second session that you did for me, is that you were asking me, not really asking me, but you were asking the connection that I had about the financial crisis and about the other, maybe like the future of the spirituality, or the twin flame. I have a question regarding to that, because in our session, you not only did the past life healing for me, eventually you came into other direction of asking me something that's bigger than me, bigger than myself. And of course, I would probably put that footage at the end of our conversation, to just for you guys to have a reference, since for some reason I was able to use the English to deliver the message. But may I know more about, like, how does that work? At first, you put me into my records, my story, but then you shift it to something that's bigger than me. How does that work?
Actually, every one of us feel that we are an individual, right? But actually, the deeper or the higher selves of ourselves, the true selves of ourselves, actually are part of the universe. It means that our subconsciousness is always connected with the collective consciousness and connected with the Akashic records. So it means that your higher self knows a lot of different things, even for the human reality, even for the globe. You still remember that actually we were discussing something about the financial crisis. Right?
Yeah.
That's the future thing for the human life, for the globe. And after that conversation, we could see what happened after maybe just several weeks after the conversation.
Yeah, the
So
market
that's the future
collapse.
thing.
You're asking about the financial crisis. And I remember at the time, my higher self or whatever consciousness that I connect with, that's actually telling us that currency is like collapsing, not all at once, but just like gradually, one by one, and all that. It's surprising, well, a little bit surprising, but not so surprised as well.
Yes, but of course, we cannot get every information, every detailed information, or we cannot get the full picture for the future. Because if we know everything, then there is no games for us anymore, right? So even we are connected, collective consciousness or Akashic records, you cannot be a kind of fortune teller and to tell 100% what happened in the future. But you can get the wisdom to empower yourself. So that means that when you were channeling the information, you remember that actually there was no exact answer for the exact question. You brought out the wisdom to teach people to empower themselves, to prepare themselves for any future so-called crisis.
That's the epiphany that I have here today, even though we're right now in a podcast, but I think that a lot of people here in this stage, they're worrying about how Trump is placing a lot of tariff internationally. And of course, as a consumer, we do feel pressure on that. And at the same time, I was actually asking, like I had that question in mind of saying, why does Trump do the way he do? I didn't understand the rationale or deeper meaning of that. But then all of a sudden, it's like when I ask that question, for some reason, I just get the answer. And so today we're talking with friends, realizing that remember when hypnosis session, my higher self was channeling, telling us that eventually whatever that's really valuable is no longer to be valuable. It will all come down to survival needs, the basic, the necessity. And then thinking about what Trump is doing right now here is that he's placing a lot of tariff from purchasing internationally, but then he's actually protecting the agriculture inside of the states. And then think about that, if buying stuff from globe is getting more expensive, there are less demand, less people will want to buy stuff from abroad internationally. And then there are actually a lot of material stuff over there in tariff that maybe people don't need, they just want it. So it's really a profound meaning of that tariff stuff. I wouldn't say that it's right or wrong, but I believe that everything's there for a purpose. So yeah, I just wanted to recall on that, and like how did you think about it in terms of what I channeled before? I was like, wow, that's profound. I would have never thought of that way.
Of course, not everyone needs to channel those information for the crowd, for the world. But you know, you are an influencer, so it is important for you to help others to get more positivity. But for normal human beings, what we can get from QHT is to get back to our life and to take the action we need to do and to be grateful for what was happening to us. It is not just happening to us, but those things are actually happening through us, for us, to help us to get the wisdom out of life experiences. So this is why I'm so passionate sharing QHT, and I even travel to the EU, to North America, to meet you, and to Taiwan, to Singapore and Malaysia, and everywhere to share this technique and to share the experience with different people.
Yeah, I'm actually like so grateful of meeting you and know that QHHT eventually it's no matter what kind of message we get, either the past life story or the future profile meanings, these messages are actually all for us to come down to insight to what we need to focus inside of our hearts. Before we end this session, rate 1 to 10, how much do you think you're right now currently operating from your heart? now?
For me, I must be honest to everyone. For me, I can just rate myself maybe just between 7 to 8 because I got my path. I understood that QHHT can help a lot of people and of course can eventually help myself. But for me, sometimes we as the human, we usually have those inner fights. My present experience as an example, I go back to Hong Kong to end the traveling. I need to get back to my life in Hong Kong to work with my family members because my father's birthday is on the way. So it is kind of the human life sometimes make us fighting with ourselves. Maybe it is just some kind of tiny stories of the normal human life, but it does bring inner fights for us. So I'm now working on myself and working on clients and then get back to myself to understand more about the life itself. So I can say it is 7 to 8 for me, but I'm really very grateful for this number.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I do understand that, and thank you for being very honest about it. The reason why I ask this question is that often we think that we're achieved their 10 or whatever, but it's actually sometimes we go back a little bit of being trapped in our own story right now, right here, or whatever trauma that we still haven't yet resolved. It's never ending resolving. Like along the way, there's always things that will come. It's just matter of fact that we overcome it faster and faster. So definitely thank you for your honesty. Life is actually can be spiritual too, because you have to face all that different stuff that's making you feel inner conflicts. And what is the one thing that you wish you could have said to the younger self, younger Lili?
For the younger me, I was actually a very normal woman or girl. The most important thing in my life before was about work and relationship. Those two things. As time goes by, I found that if you just focus on two people, or if you just focus on you and the work, then you cannot expand. You have maybe have the dream or have the idea of expanding the love, whatever love you are experiencing. Love your lovers, love your work, love your families. It doesn't matter. But if you have the idea of expanding the love and to share, to give, to expand the love, then you eventually feel that actually your life is very colorful. So if I can say something to the younger me, I would love to say, please don't just focus on those things you can see because our eyes actually looking forward, right? Please don't focus on that tiny things. Or maybe you don't need to focus on anything. You just look broader. Just open your mind.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's what I would love to say to
Wow,
myself.
thank you. What is that one thing that you can suggest anyone to create mind and heart coherence?
Follow your heart. This AI era, a lot of people, they are very, very nervous about the future. And they found that maybe if they don't learn something or maybe they don't make a difference on their lives, and then they will be replaced by AI. But what I would love to say to the people is that when you are working for some others, just do whatever you like, whatever you love to follow your heart. And eventually you'll find that maybe that's your path to help you to earn the living in the future. No matter what happens to your life, just follow your heart. Just follow it, but not follow to the emotion. Follow your heart is not to follow your emotion. Follow your heart is to do something you are really very passionate about.
That's amazing. Yes, follow your heart is about doing something that you're passionate about. All right. So for the audience, they are interested in quantum healing hypnosis. Where can I find you? Do you have a link down below that I can provide?
Yes. For each person who wants to do a hypnosis with me, I usually do a call. I call it a discovery call before deciding the date for the session. So I can put a link here to arrange a call with me, which takes at least maybe 15 minutes to help you understand what you can get from the hypnosis or what you need to prepare for the session. So I can give you the link and then you can schedule a call with me.
find out that whether this is right for them, right? Thank you again, Lili, for today, for your sharing and experience. And I'll hope to see you the other time.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
这样子，2025年将会发生金融风暴，这一块能够说一点，提醒大家怎么做准备。
The currency is not going to be just currency, and the things that you think that is valuable is not going to be valuable. And yes, it all comes down to survival. Survival, like what do you need for survival? The only thing that sustain you for survival, that's the only thing that's going to be valuable. And yes, it is going to change everyone's perception, but it's not for everyone to worry because the rich has been in the rich for too long. And there are some reverse engineer going on. So that's why the thing that used to work, it's not going to work anymore. And I'm glad that it is going to happen within 5 years. It is all going to change. And it depends on our collective consciousness and how it is going to lead. It is always going to happen. Financial crisis always going to happen. It's inevitably. But if you rely to only just one source of investment, one source of money, currency, it is going to damage you a lot. So my suggestion is for you to diverse because it's not going to collapse altogether. It's going to be collapsing in a way that's
所以传统的货币架构始终会瓦解，但它不是说一个币种，所有的币种一起瓦解，它有可能是不同的货币，有不同的一些汇率上的变动。
yes, of course.
所以如果是多元的投资，像一揽子货币的投资，或者是多种的资产来布置，这样就可以能够分散风险。
Yeah, and think about your investment. Don't think about the financial system. If you rely on all the financial system, it's not going to sustain you. So I would say you can rely on more, maybe even real estate, maybe invest on farm, invest on the necessity. So the traditional way that's going to get you rich is not going to get you rich no more.
Mhm.
In future, if you hold the key for human survival, which is the food, it is going to help you a lot. For investment, you don't have to do it. Help them. Help the farmers. The farmers grow organic food. Help the farmers because when everything collapses, human, we are going to need food, but we are not going to need the money in the bank. If the money in the bank cannot buy us food, what good can it do?
所以身心灵的行业这样就会越来越发展，越来越需要。
Well, there are people making spirituality a little bit more emotionless. You can see that. You can see that those people who are just saying only the lights, only the bright, and only positive. And you know that's a dangerous place. So spirituality is going to be pretty wide as well. Just like human society, it's no matter where we go, there are going to be division of some sort. But of course, spirituality is what a lot of people will be thinking after this AI event, but there are going to be a part of people who are supporting the AI because they think human is flawed because we have emotion, because we have impulse to make the judgment that is not necessary. So no matter what, we don't think for one thing for a solution. We have to have discernment no matter where you go.